Friends the musical. Okay.
Imagine if it were though.
I don't know if it would be a good musical.
That's
Anyway,
true. That's true.
don't want to start off fighting already.
I think it would be a good musical.
I disagree.
No.
Okay, anyway, introductions, right?
Okay. Well, welcome to the first episode of How Would You Have Done It? It's a podcast where we talk about contentious television show endings and what we did and didn't like about them and how we would have done them differently. This is our first episode, so I'm just going to break down what the format will be. We're going to be in 4 different segments. The first segment is a brief review of the show that we're talking about and how it ended. The second one will be, how do we feel about it? What did we like? What didn't we like? And then the third will be, why didn't it turn out that way? Were there any post-production, pre-production things that made it turn out the way that it turned out? And lastly, how would we have done it? Would we come up with a better ending? It can be one unanimous ending. It can be 3 different endings. Doesn't matter. We just have to have a conversation. So, I'm here with 2 wonderful guests who are going to introduce themselves. What's your name and what do you want to be when you grow up?
My name is Marie, and I want to be the coolest person ever when I grow up. Thank you.
I'm Dylan. I'm grown up. And I guess I just want to be. I haven't decided yet. I'm undeclared as things stand. I'll let you know when I decide.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, I'm Nicole, and I'd like to be a screenwriter.
That's awesome.
I
you.
love that.
Thank you.
And you will. Anyway, we'll continue.
Okay, so our first show that we're discussing is Friends. So, quick background on the show. It premiered on NBC in September of 1994 and ran for 10 seasons, ending in May of 2004. It was created by David Crane and Marta Kaufman, and it was a show about a group of 6 20-somethings in New York. We have Rachel, Monica, Phoebe, Joey, Chandler, and Ross. I almost forgot the last 3. And they're just making their way through life in their 20s, and they're at a point in their life where their friends are their family. And it's about that era in your life where you're trying to get it all figured out. The show went through a lot of name changes before they settled on Friends. Some of the other names were Insomnia Cafe, 6 of 1,
Interesting.
Friends Like Us, and then eventually they settled on Friends.
Can you imagine, like, award-winning show, Friends Like Us, Insomnia Cafe?
I know. I didn't know this. I'm glad it settled on Friends because
Yeah, short and sweet.
I know. I can't imagine it being anything else.
During the show's 10-year run, it was nominated for a total of 62 Emmys
Holy shit.
and won 6 of them. I believe the only cast member that wasn't nominated was Monica.
What?
She was the only one who never was nominated for an Emmy. And I think, if I'm correct, Jennifer Aniston and Lisa Kudrow won. They're the only 2 that won.
That's interesting.
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 So let's go ahead and review the ending for those who don't remember and who haven't watched it in a while. No, we're not talking to anybody in this room. So the ending was separated into 2 episodes. Both of them were titled The Last One. The final episode alone garnered 52.5 million viewers in the U.S. when it premiered, and it is the 5th most watched TV finale in the United States.
I'm very curious to know what show tops that.
I don't know.
Okay.
We can look it up later. So the show ends. We have all of the friends have mostly coupled up. So we've got Monica and Chandler have just had their 2 their twins from their surrogate or their adoptive mother, who's played by Anna Faris. And they're planning on moving to the suburbs, and they're selling off Monica's apartment, which is where most of the series takes place. Phoebe talks about starting a family with her boyfriend Mike, who's played by Paul Rudd. Joey, as far as we know, stays at the apartment that he and Chandler had been living in for most of the series, and he continues his role on Days of Our Lives. And then we have Ross and Rachel, who have probably the most happen to them in the 2 episodes. Basically, Rachel gets offered a job at Louis Vuitton in Paris, so she plans on leaving. And And when she's getting ready to leave, Ross decides that that's the best time to tell her that he's in love with her and is still in love with her. Mind you, also, they have a child at this point together.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the airport. He and Ross and Phoebe drive to the airport to meet her, and they realize that they're going to be late. And so Phoebe calls the airport and says that calls Rachel and says that there's something wrong with the left phalange of the plane. And then somebody overhears that and freaks out, and they have to come off the plane because everybody's losing it because the left phalange is broken.
Phalange.
And while they're off the plane, Ross meets Rachel, tells her he loves her, and she's like, I can't right now. So she gets back on the plane, and he goes to his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
At his apartment, he listens to his answering machine, and he's got a message from Rachel on her cell phone. And she's like, Ross, I love you too. I have to get off this plane. Somebody tell me. She's trying to leave the plane, but they're already like backing out of the gate. And he's yelling into the phone, get off the plane. I wonder if she got off the plane. And that's when Rachel appears behind him in their apartment. And she says, I got off the plane. And they stay together. And then the final shot is them all dropping off their keys to Monica's apartment, because, of course, all of them have keys.
Yeah.
And the final shot is a pan over the entire empty apartment, ending on the door with a little frame around the peephole. And that's the last shot of Friends. So, what did we like? What didn't we like? Let's start with what we did enjoy about the finale.
I liked Regina Phalange. I don't remember that part, but I loved Phoebe for that.
Mm-hmm.
For the, I guess, alias. And to be honest, the last 2 episodes are not my favorite, so I don't remember too many good things about it. But that was, I guess, one of the few ones I remember.
For me, it's mainly about that they all have some sort of conclusion, I guess.
Wait, hold on. He's trying to take his jacket off.
So I'll keep talking so that we can't hear him. But I like that they all have a conclusion. Like, for me, one of my favorite characters in the show is Phoebe. So for the fact, like, she's always been a catalyst to try to fix things in the show throughout the whole entire show, especially, like, in these last 2 episodes. And I completely didn't remember that Ross and Rachel had a baby, or were having a baby together.
You forgot about Emma?
Yeah, I did forget about Emma. But I don't know, it's nice that there's that conclusion of like, oh, they're gonna stay together. Like, for sure, this is how it ends. It's not like Rachel went to Paris and then Ross hates himself and goes into depression and then the show ends. No more friends, you know? So
I'm not sure I'm not sure that's how I feel about it. I feel like that's one of the worst endings, that they go back together, because it just felt very selfish of Ross to do that.
yep.
I feel like also
I agree.
happy endings are not always a certainty, and they making it. Also, that wasn't like exactly a happy ending for the viewers, so that's also selfish.
So I feel like we're all in agreement that we didn't like the Ross and Rachel ending.
I just don't like Ross as a character in
that's
general.
that's where it is, yeah.
Yeah, but it was messed up that he decided last minute, after knowing that she, you know, had this big offer in a different country in a great store, you know. Well, Louis Vuitton is a whole other conversation, but like she had an opportunity to grow as a person and keep and move on from that phase in her life, and he decided to hold her back. And it's also like, it's messed up that the writers kind of gave them the half off, like, okay, yeah, she still loves him too, when he's done multiple things throughout the series to make her hurt, to cause her any sort of like mishap. But anyway, I'm not gonna go into detail.
Go on a break, okay?
Yeah.
I think what bothers me most is that, aside from like the fact that I, like many, dislike Ross strongly, is that I feel like most of the series is focused on Rachel and her story, because she starts out and she doesn't have anything. She doesn't even have a place to live. And if it weren't for Monica, she wouldn't have had a place to live.
Yeah.
So she works her way up from being a waitress, not a good one, but a waitress.
Yeah.
and goes to like personal shopping, works at Bloomingdale's for a while. And we watch her over the course of 10 years grow into a better person, but also somebody who's self-made.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, when she has this is a dream opportunity. If you're into fashion, getting
Yes.
offered any job
In Paris.
is amazing. And she, it felt very Daenerys Targaryen to just throw away
Yes.
all that character development, all that work over 10 years
For a man.
for Ross.
Not even a man for Ross.
Yeah,
Yes.
for Ross.
I'm glad you
Ross.
made that distinction because there is a difference. Ross.
I dislike
Ross.
Dylan just looked at me like,
Ross.
all right.
I didn't even be mad if it were Joey because I kind of like Joey.
No,
Or
but even
Ross.
Joey was still also a character in progress. Like, we also have to think of all the characters and how they grown. Because you have Monica and Chandler who ended up, going through their little mishaps as, trying to be a couple. And then they end up with this, wonderful opportunity to have a family. And they do everything possible to make that happen. You have Phoebe, who was always, not the outsider of the group, but she was just the odd one. And she did not have any luck with boyfriends. She did not have any luck, work-wise here and there. But she still grew as a person, and we finally got this, great conclusion for her.
Mhm.
Joey, who was a struggling actor almost the entire 10 years of the show. And then just him getting the opportunity to still be on Days of Our Lives and stuff, that's great. It's still progression. He still grows as a person. Excuse me to say this, but what the fuck was Russ doing? How did he grow as a person? How did he change? If he really cared about Rachel, he would have let her go.
Or he would have gone with her.
Yeah, you have no
something.
excuse.
I feel like that's definitely something Joey would have done. I can see
Yeah.
Joey actually going to Paris because, he loves her. Usually that's how it happens, right? You love
Yeah.
someone, you chase them. You don't ask them to not take an opportunity because you love them, all of a sudden. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Ross, the man child.
I hate Ross.
You know what's
I
funny?
hate Ross.
I didn't like Ross's character, but there was this one episode that I loved so much that I thought Ross was probably the best in it. It was the episode with Charlie and Professor Benjamin Hobart or something like that. Remember that episode where he lost his girlfriend to, what do you call it? Nobel Prize winner?
Oh,
Benjamin Hobart or
yes, yes,
something?
yes,
Yeah. That was probably one of my favorite episodes just because his girlfriend was stolen and I thought he deserved that. That was just great.
Oh, you like it because something bad happens to Ross.
Yes, I do. But at the same time, I thought that episode was very funny. That was a really good episode.
He just has no progression as a character.
I dislike that. He really is the only one that doesn't change.
Exactly. And it's why are you giving this one character that has done nothing to be a different person and grow and give them the happy ending?
Yeah.
The show could have been fine if all of them were like, hey, man, we're still friends, but we're all going our separate ways. It is what it is. And then we see, the reality of, life, the reality of growing apart from people, the whole part of, okay, yeah, they're doing their own thing. Maybe I'll see them every once in a while. We don't live across the hallway from each other anymore. But I have to do my own thing. If I love this woman enough, I'm going to do anything willing to be able to be with her.
Mhm.
But no, it's oh, okay, well, she got to stay here with me and pay, the stupid amount of rent that we paid here in New York. Anyway.
And then in 10 years' time, just what do you do with your life? Oh, I rejected offers to go to Paris to stay with Ross. And
France.
At Louis Vuitton in Paris.
I
Oh
know,
my
so that was sad.
goodness.
anyways.
So yeah, that's what we don't like
That's what we
about
don't
this.
What did we like? I'll start.
Okay.
I like Monica and Chandler's ending.
Yeah.
I love
Agreed.
their love story because I
Agreed.
think it Chandler especially watching him really make the effort to change
Yeah.
and become the kind of person who can be in a long-term relationship, and also Monica just being really patient with him. I
Yeah.
think that episode where they get into an argument and he's like, so I guess we're over, and she's like, you don't break up with somebody after one argument. If you did that, you wouldn't be with somebody for more than 3 months. Oh. So then they stay together and they were wonderful together.
Yeah.
I thought it was very nice. I liked them.
It was surprising to hear. Like I saw in the reunion they just released last year, that they didn't actually plan. That was basically based off of the reaction they got from the first time they hooked up. I was like, they make such a good couple. Like they
Yeah.
complement each other so much because Monica is very mature. Like she's very mature, and Chandler isn't. So
Yeah.
that was the perfect pair. That really
Their
was.
their chemistry acting wise is really good too. Like it's surprising that she didn't end up winning an Emmy, was it?
Yeah. Wasn't even nominated.
Not even nominated. That's crazy. No, I feel like all the women in the show should have gotten nominated and won, especially for being such a long running show. For me, it's just Phoebe. Like I just love Phoebe.
Who doesn't?
She's just such a
What are you
interesting.
doing, Dylan?
Yeah, you could hear that.
I'm sorry.
You can just see her. Like I feel like Phoebe's very relatable to all the people that that watch the show. At least like all the people that have felt alone and being like your truest self, even like at such a young age. She's just a wonderful character, and for her to not only get cast like have Paul Rudd as her boyfriend at the end, which I'm not even gonna get into, but we love Paul Rudd also.
We love Paul Rudd.
But just having the opportunity where she was like, "Oh, I want to have a family. Like this is something I want." This is she had a happy ending after all the rough moments that she went through. So, like I remember she was dating a scientist at one point. I don't remember what season it
yeah.
was, but she
It's
was
like on
dating a
and off.
stylist. It was on and off. He was great, but then he ended up getting like a research job in a completely different country, and then he like broke things off with her. And I remember
See, that's a good.
yeah,
That's good. That's nice.
yeah. We see growth
We
from
see
that.
growth.
Yeah.
I remember that too. The Italian guy. Yeah, that was he was he Italian? I think he was.
He might have been.
And then like he'd come to town every once in a while. He was equally awkward. So I
Yes,
laughed.
yeah.
I loved their interactions every time he came to town. Also, I feel like Phoebe had one of the best episodes in season 10 too. The one where she basically breaks off Paul Rudd's relationship for him on the girl's birthday.
Oh my
And that was
goodness.
hilarious.
I
Do you remember
think-
that?
I don't remember that episode.
Oh, dude, remember when I was the beginning of season 10, whenever Paul Rudd flew to the island they were on, and basically proposed, and then they were essentially engaged,
Oh,
and then
I do remember.
yes, and then on the flight back, he said he had plans. He had dinner with his girlfriend, and then she was confused, and then I guess they agreed that he was gonna go break up, so he went to the restaurant, and somehow the girl went to his apartment instead and met Phoebe. And Phoebe essentially ended things on his behalf and called him an asshole. And she was just basically playing both sides. Phoebe's so funny, like physically, her physical comedy is like
Amazing.
I don't think anyone could have played Phoebe better than Lisa Kudrow. So
Yeah.
that's one of my episodes, and I definitely remember that one.
Definitely deserve her Emmy too, because she's still to this day she's still a great actress
Yeah.
and she has a lot of range. So I love that.
She was in Booksmart, wasn't she?
yes.
Yeah,
She's
she
the
was.
mom.
She was the
Yeah.
mom. She was
You and your
amazing.
special friend.
It's like,
That was
oh,
great.
We support you.
we support you. We're here for you.
Real quick,
Yeah.
we can touch on how we feel about Joey's ending.
Joey. Also love Joey as a character.
Love him.
I like that he continued to have that chance of being an actor like he's always wanted to. He's still very like immature, you know, like but that's like a part of his character,
Mhm.
and he knows he's flawed in certain things, but it doesn't drive him to be a bad person towards anybody. Like
Unlike some people.
unlike some people, but we will get to him eventually again. This is Ross slander for
This
life.
is not a safe space if you like Ross.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. But Joey,
I wish he had somebody.
I wish he and
yeah.
Rachel got together. I already kind of mentioned this, but whenever they got together, I was like, oh my God, I love this. Like,
Yeah.
for some reason, I really loved it because I could tell that he would be like the complete opposite of what Ross was. He was he was awkward, but in like a really great way for Rachel, and you could tell like he genuinely like cared about Rachel,
Yeah.
even as a friend. Like, so
Yeah.
you know, he was only gonna get better as like a boyfriend or whatever. I wish he had ended up with Rachel, but I guess at the same time, I guess they didn't want to like.
Sorry.
I didn't want to like.
just
they
thought
didn't
of
want to
something.
like break he and Chandler off, because somehow they were kind of like a couple, but in like a very friendly way. He and Chandler. So I
Mhm.
guess that's why they made him like end up at Chandler and Monica's apartment or whatever. I think they said they were taking him in or something. That was
Mhm.
very awkward. But it's not the worst ending. But I personally wish he
He
had ended up
deserves
with
a little bit more.
Yeah.
I agree.
He
I
was a
agree.
great friend to every single
Yes.
person. He literally let Emma and Rachel live in his apartment just cuz.
Just cause.
Just cuz.
Yeah.
He was wonderful.
Yeah. And it would have. I guess I'll come back to this point, but like I have a great way that I wish the ending would have ended up. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Well, we're going to move on to why did it end up this way? Now, there are a lot of production decisions that just kind of happen.
She just moved the mic.
It's getting serious.
She's getting serious.
So, from what I could tell, the creators of the show said that they wanted Ross and Rachel to end up together from the beginning of the series. Like, when they started writing, they knew Ross and Rachel were going to end up together. That was how they were going to end it.
Uh-huh.
David Crane, one of the creators of the show, actually didn't even want to do a season 10. He, at this point, even 10 years into the show, Friends was still like the #1 sitcom on television. It was still incredibly popular, which is insane when you're going that long. Usually people get sick of you. But he didn't want to do a 10th season because he said, I don't want people to hate the show. And I don't want it to keep going just because it can.
Yeah.
But after a lot of convincing, mainly from the cast, because they were the ones who were like super into doing a season 10, not so much Jennifer Aniston. She was going through her Brad Pitt thing at the time.
Yeah, the Brad Pitt thing.
The Brad Pitt thing.
Oh.
And she felt that she had kind of grown away, not only from the phase of life that she was on while on the show, but just from the character of Rachel.
Yeah.
So she needed a little bit of convincing. But I think it was Matthew Perry plays Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would have gone for 10 more years. He 100% wanted to do it. I think he and Matt LeBlanc also said that they wanted to go. They wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
They figured if they were going to end the series, that they were going to end it, just give it a clean break. They didn't want any ambiguity. They felt like after 10 years, people deserve a final ending. This is point ending. So that's why they gave everybody an ending. They gave Phoebe she's going to start a family. It's over. Monica and Chandler are going to move to the suburbs and raise their family. It's over. Joey? ? And then Rachel and Ross, they're together. Boom. I will say that I did find some people who said that there was a moment in the writer's room where they weren't going to have Ross and Rachel get back together.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to leave it more as a will they, won't they for the rest of time. They were going to have Rachel leave to Paris, but have some way to still get in contact with Ross. And obviously they have Emma, so it's not like they weren't going to see each other.
Yeah.
But figuring that out would have been insane. But there was a moment where they wanted to have it be like, okay, we don't know if they ended up together. But I think it was Marta Kaufman who was like, no, these people are invested in Ross and Rachel, positive or negative. People are invested in Ross and Rachel. We've had them on the will they, won't they for 10 years. We have to give the audience an ending. We can't leave it ambiguous. Back to Joey. The reason Joey doesn't have an ending was on purpose because he had a spin-off series called Joey. So they had to leave it ambiguous so that he could have an ending. I'm not 100% sure what the plot is. I know it's just focused on like his acting career.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't do well.
Was it created by the same people?
I believe so.
I remember like my parents told me about it before, but there was nothing memorable and compass to it.
About the previous point, I also saw that. whenever they were deliberating whether or not Rachel and Ross should get together, it was Kaufman that actually went to him like, guys, this is Rachel and Ross. And I remember watching that and thinking, so? Like, they don't have to get together. But for some reason, she thought like they deserved to be together. And like the whole show was built on them being together or their relationship. But I felt like it evolved past that.
Yes.
But she genuinely felt like, hey, it's these two people and they definitely need to get together. I guess that's what she thought people wanted. I don't know how other people feel about this, but I did not like it.
I will say that I think that there's a big difference in the way that people like our age watch the show and the way that people who watched the show when it came out watched the show.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because apparently everybody back in the day, in the good old days, Dylan, you might remember this, everybody really liked the finale. They liked that Ross and Rachel grew up together or like ended up together.
Yeah.
And also, generally speaking, people did not like Joey and Rachel together. Like they felt like the show was running out of ideas. And so they were just sticking them together.
I could see that. It definitely feels like a little cop out because they're friends and they're already you have to build up storylines with each character, you know? But like
ironically, that was another thing they mentioned. They said they were meant to be together. Rachel and Joey were meant to be together. Like whenever they started talking about the show and like, how it developed in the season and stuff, there was always like supposed to be chemistry between the two. But I guess whenever they actually released it and the kind of feedback they got kind of made them change their mind. But it wasn't fabricated out of nothing.
Yeah.
It was
planned.
always like, Easter eggs somewhere.
I think that has a lot to do with the way that we watch the show. Because people our age probably binged it or at least grew up watching it. Like it's always been something. Like I was -6 when the show came out. And so like it's literally always been in my life. And like my family was always a really big fan of it. I feel like we would feel differently had we actually spent 10 years with the show. Like watching it was it Wednesday or Thursday when it was on every single night and like growing up with these characters, which I know is one of the things that the writers prided themselves on the show was like creating an experience that in 10 years people can still watch and say, okay, this is a universal point in your life where you're trying to go from having a job to having a career. You're trying to build a family, but right now the only community that you have are your friends. You're not living at home anymore. You're out of college. And I think that still holds up true today, which is why the series I think is so popular because people have barista jobs. Yeah. People have waitress jobs, waiting tables. You have to take those crappy jobs until you can get to where you want to be, like Louis Vuitton in Paris.
What we all deserve career-wise, honestly. It's definitely. I feel like you could think of it that way still. At like our generation could think of it that way, especially like if you are in your 20s, because it is a big first stage in your life. Like you're a brand new adult. Like it's not like you're in your 30s and 40s and you already had some time to develop yourself. You're still learning about yourself. You're still growing around the things that are happening. You have to finish studying. You have to not study if you don't want to. I guess what I'm trying to get to is the fact that everybody has so many routes that you can go into, and especially like in the 90s, they didn't have that much technology as we do. They didn't have so many like new jobs and opportunities that you can get just from getting a viral video, meeting someone that you met working, like it was a different generation and a different world technically. So I can see like the relation to it, but for us, it's like our generation's very like, oh, you don't like your job is making you suffer, leave. Your job doesn't pay you enough, your job doesn't pay you a livable wage, okay, leave. You'll find something else.
That's not very labor shortage of you.
Yeah, And like, I completely am okay with the labor shortage because things are changing, things are developing very quickly. Other conversation. But like back to the main point is the fact that like as a generation, we all go through the same struggles socially and we all seek help from our friends, and that's like our circle at one point, and you have to cut out loose ends and to an extent. But it's very different because now we're like, oh, this man doesn't want to go to Paris with you, even though you're having his child and you have a great opportunity. Cool, dump him, move on. But no, you would stay there. Like, you would stay there because you love that man enough, I guess.
And one thing I found very true is how relatable every character was to whoever watched. Like, you could see yourself in any other characters because they are so diverse almost. And also the memories. Like, I remember watching Friends because of someone, and now these days, every time I watch it, I think about them. So I'm wondering if it's the same for whoever watched it while Friends was still like in production, like, whenever they're releasing it weekly. Was it the same for them? So I mean, for me, I feel like, or for us, I feel like the memories attached. I know some people watch it as a family, and now probably every time they watch it, they have to call their mom and be like, "Hey, you remember that episode? Blah blah blah." And it feels very, I don't know, it feels different. It feels different from people that watched it growing up or whatever. So maybe that factored into why we feel differently now.
I did see that one of the things I found that was interesting is that I think it was Marta Kaufman who said she wanted to make sure that each of the women on the show had children in a different way because she wanted to represent as many different ways as you can start a family as possible.
Yeah.
Which is why Phoebe is a surrogate, Rachel gets pregnant on accident, and Monica adopts.
Yeah.
So she wanted to make sure that, because if everybody got pregnant, we were planning on having a kid, now we have a kid, or, oh, we have a kid now.
It's not relatable.
It's not relatable. Yeah. So she wanted to make sure that everybody can watch the show and say like, oh, see, Monica and Chandler have had this issue. They got through it. They adopted. Look how happy they are. Which was cool. I thought that was cool.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. That's very nice.
So we're at the meat of the show. Dylan's reading my notes. How would you have done it?
Oh boy, I'm ready to get at this.
Do you want to start, Marie?
Yeah. So, keep the ending, keep the conclusion for Phoebe, keep the conclusion for Monica and Chandler, because I feel like it was a perfect way to end their story. I would play a lot more on the love triangle aspect between Joey, Ross, and Rachel, especially because I know that, like, after any little history that Rachel and Joey had, like, I know that he still had feelings for her. Like, feelings for a person doesn't go away that easy, So I would have played on the whole, like, maybe, Joey has is building his career in acting, but he's still in New York and he's still, like, he doesn't have anybody. All his friends are moving. All his friends are doing something else, So Ross does the same thing, but we don't think about it that way because he's like, oh, all my friends are moving. All my friends have, their thing going. I got my girlfriend, non-girlfriend pregnant, and now we're having a kid.
The mother of my child.
The mother of my child, But then she tells me, oh, I have to move to Paris because I got this great job opportunity. I would have played it technically, like maybe Ross goes with Phoebe, or Phoebe still calls the airline, tells them about the issue. Ross and Rachel, have their moment where she's like, I can't do this right now, and goes back to the plane. The thing is, I would have Joey come in and be like, Rachel, I want to be with you. I will do anything to be with you. And maybe once she sends the voicemail to Ross, she's not at the apartment, but we see Joey go buy a ticket and get on the plane with her.
What if we heard Joey in the voicemail?
Yeah. Yeah. And then it ends.
Over.
Because it shows what someone is willing to do for our main character, that's Rachel. What Ross does is like, it's a cop out. He's like, well, if she loves me enough, like she's having my kids, so she'll stay here. But Joey knows out of taking so many risks in his career that what she's doing is the right thing. And he would, aside from them having a daughter, like he would do anything to be a great dad. So, and we all know that just based on his character. And I know that it would be crazy if he gets the voicemail and he's like, okay, like maybe I can call her and she's not answering the phone because Joey's on the plane with her.
Snaps for that.
And then that's it. That's where it ends.
Agreed. That would be a beautiful ending. Genuinely, I feel like I would love that. Alternatively, how I would have ended it is probably let Rachel go be a boss lady by herself in Paris.
True.
That's also good because like it shows that you don't need a man or a family to be complete or to have your own happy ending.
Yes.
You know, she can be happy with Emma in Paris. You know, do
Have a
whatever
great
she wants.
career.
Exactly. I mean, in as much as I don't like Ross, I feel like Ross has always felt the need to be in a relationship. For some reason, it feels like Ross wouldn't be happy without someone. So I'd give him like a paleontologist that is also into dinosaurs and, she hates into, and then maybe give him the happy ending that no one really cares about for him. But, whatever. Joey is tricky because I'm not like 100% mad at the way he ended up with Chandler still because their bromance is still kind of beautiful to see.
Love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do differently about Joey. I know giving him someone else feels, I don't know. Joey has always felt more complete with Chandler than anybody else, but Chandler is a family man now. So he would be the weird uncle that lives with his best friend, even though he's also very successful. So that's probably how it ended. I'll probably still give it the same ending. I'm not too mad about that.
Okay, but Joey would be the best uncle.
Yeah,
really
he would.
He really would.
He would definitely play with the kids, would steal their food, would not admit
Oh,
that
yeah.
he stole
Oh,
their food.
Yeah.
yes. He will not share his food with the kid. Oh, my God. Joey and his food.
Imagine having Joey be your live-in uncle.
That's
and he's
crazy.
like, he works on a soap opera set. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's so cool.
So it would be fulfilling in both parties. I feel like just because, like, and I say all this because I've come off from a binge of BoJack Horseman, and that show is just very hard to watch, just because it stabs you at like, hey, we all have flaws, like we don't grow as people, and we deserve the certain things that happen to us, and that's just the reality of things. Ross as a person, or even putting Rachel in any situation that he did in the 10 years of the show, and then having the audacity to be like, no, like, I love you, I want you to stay here, shows me that he hasn't grown.
Yes.
And you deserve to understand that all your friends are growing, all the people are growing around you, and they want to do things for themselves because you have to be selfish. But it's not always going to work out. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to suck. But, like, Monica and Chandler did everything possible to make their relationship work. They went through even the whole thing with her getting pregnant and not being able to have kids and then adopting. That's a process. You have to grow as a person. You have to work as a team. Ross never worked with Rachel as a team.
With anyone.
With anybody. Because he's selfish. And if that's how it ends, because that's how it ends for him, okay. Be forced to grow. Be forced to grow. Like, you're holding people back. Why? Because, okay, you love this person enough, but, like, what are you doing for them? How do they benefit besides being the mother of your children? She doesn't owe you anything. She can, like Dylan said, she could have easily gone to Paris and have a happy and fulfilling life. Just being a mother, having a great career that she worked for, living in a completely different country, and just, being herself. And Joey could have stayed with Chandler and had his little bromance for the rest of his life, but still have a fulfilling career and happiness,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Real quick, I don't know if you've seen that TikTok that's like why Friends should have been set in LA instead of New York.
No, I haven't.
No, I don't think so.
It's like the woman who was talking, she was like, first of all, nobody in New York sits in a coffee shop all day. That's an LA thing to do. Joey's a working actor, or he's looking for work. So obviously, like,
That's an LA thing.
Why isn't he in LA?
Yeah.
Ross is a professor. He can still be a professor. You could probably get like a UCLA, USC, wherever. Rachel, fashion.
Of
also
course.
also in LA.
It would be more New York, but
Either way,
it depends.
you
It
can
could
get
work.
there. You can get there.
Yeah.
And they were saying like, she was like, I've lived in New York for multiple years. Have you ever once on Friends heard them say, "Ugh, the subway was a mess today"?
No, not at all.
Never. They never talk about the subway, anything about New York City. It's just that it takes place in New York and that's it.
Yeah.
And she was like, it just irks me because it could have been in LA.
Easily.
You would not have known.
I will want to mention something real quick in terms of how people feel about the show, especially like our current generation that has watched it and is watching it. The fact that like LA would work better because all those little factors, but it also is a white friend group. Like the New York, I feel like there's like no representation of people of color that are a part of what makes New York, New York, You have people that are immigrants from all of Latin America, from Asia, like there was not one drop of melanin in that whole friend group, not even one. Maybe they had the guest stars here and there, but it just didn't like feel like New York. It didn't have the sense of New York because of that, But that's just my take on it.
Was it Aisha Tyler was Ross's
Charlie.
girl?
Yeah.
She was the first person of color to play a love interest in Friends.
That was season 9.
That was
After
season
9 years. Wow, that's...
Imagine that. And I know it was like the 90s, but I'm like, it's the 90s, like in New York.
People of color hadn't been invented yet, Marie.
Yeah, no, apparently not. So that's why it could have been LA easy, and it probably would have felt better in a way, just in terms of the representation that was in the show. Even if they were in LA and they had the same ending, and maybe she wasn't going to Paris, but they were like, "Hey, we have a great job for you here in New York City." That's still across the country. That's still a big move. Like it could have been better. I like that they were like, "Hey, we want you to come work at Paris for us." Like the Paris, France,
The Paris.
The Paris.
Not the one in Texas.
Not the Texas one. But sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I actually feel the opposite. I feel like it's perfect for New York, especially for Phoebe's character. Phoebe and Joey, I know you said acting, but Joey also did a lot like theater plays, and New York is very big on that. So
for sure.
That too, and Rachel's character, Chandler could literally survive in Texas. So
he wouldn't thrive.
Because no one really knew what he did anyways. And Ross, again, I feel like I have no idea where Ross would have gone. But I generally feel like, I don't know, LA feels very big city. New York feels, even though it's huge, it feels very community-like. I'm not sure why, but I know you saw a lot of shots of them walking on the streets and stuff. For some reason, that feels more New York than LA. So I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I just think New York, and my brain goes like Sex and the City.
Oh my god!
Just because
what a good show!
What a great show! But just Sex and the City, aside from the fashion, aside from the way that the characters are, the age, it's probably also the age group.
Yeah.
Because I think when we watch it now, we think of like our current economical situation.
I can't buy Manolo Blahnik every week.
I can't even, the apartment that they live in, unrealistic. That shit's like $3,000 per month. Like,
she's a journalist. She writes an article, once a week?
Yeah. How does she make money to afford that? No wonder some of them were living together and had keys to each other's. It's all 5 of us living. All 6 of us are living in that apartment. Let me just tell you that.
The only one believable is Miranda because she's a lawyer.
Oh yeah, in Sex and the City. Yeah,
I believe Miranda.
Yeah.
But I also isn't Monica's apartment rent controlled? I believe it's rent controlled. Her aunt or somebody owned the apartment, and
we're still talking Sex and the City.
I don't remember. I don't know what we're talking about at this point.
My bad.
Side note: I feel like Friends. I almost said Friends in the City. Friends is like 20s, and then I feel like Sex and the City goes like that next phase in your life.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which is fun. Which is how I'm watching the shows. I'm still in the middle of season 3 of Sex and the City.
I love Sex and the City.
That's a show? I thought it was a movie.
Yes.
They have 2 movies, but the show itself was in the early 2000s.
I think so.
With the same cast? Oh, no.
Yes. The new one coming out is missing one person.
The most important, amazing person in the show.
She's so good.
Anyway, The I just think the ending could have had more promise for its main characters, personally, or for its main character, especially because I feel like you could give her, just based on all the stuff that Jennifer Aniston was going through at that moment, that could have fulfilled her a little bit more because she was going through a divorce. Was it?
I think
With Brad Pitt?
Was it divorce already?
Or
Something was
maybe
going on.
something was going on. I need to look back on my timeline, but
My Jen timeline.
yeah. But like, imagine if her ending was, I don't need a man. He's not gonna be with me because of this. He's gonna stick in his old ways. Well, I'm gonna go and do my own thing, and that probably would have been perfect for her. That probably would have made her feel like, okay, this is a good point to move on in my career and build my own name. I mean, she's not even married now. She hasn't. I feel like she's dated people since then, but she's not married still. She doesn't have any kids, but she has a great career. She's had a great career, and
I still has her friends.
yeah,
the
still has
cast
her
of
friends. Yeah, and imagine that. Like, I feel like that would have been perfect for her character because it shows like she's this resilient person that moved to New York, started with nothing, and she came out on top at the end, and she didn't need anybody besides her friends.
Monica. Just Monica. I love Monica. Monica's such a good friend.
Yeah. Monica.
Great friend, great wife.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not sure she's the greatest sister. Is it because
I think it's just because Ross sucks.
maybe you know how he was the
I forget
favorite
their
child?
siblings.
Yeah, I know,
Shit.
right? Yeah, like complete opposite. But you know how his parents liked him the most or something?
I don't understand that. Why?
Because he's a professor.
That's true.
Imagine that. Okay.
I feel like being a chef is cooler than being a professor.
No,
but okay.
honestly, it's a lot more. I'm sorry to all the professors. Micah, I'm sorry, Micah. Don't take this the wrong way, but chefs put in work. That takes time and a lot of effort and personal. So does teaching.
It's great for first
Gonna
dates.
backtrack.
Don't show him this part. Anyway,
I think how I would. I've thought about this. I've taken everything into consideration. Again, I like Monica and Chandler.
yeah,
I like it ending there.
perfect. Lock that down.
Locked it down. Can't move it anymore.
Yeah.
Phoebe and Mike, love. I feel like what I love about Phoebe is that she didn't change who she was, and she still found somebody who loved her for exactly who she was.
Exactly.
Which is what I love. Joey, I don't know why, but I don't even remember. I think it's the first or second season where it's when Ben is being born and they go to the hospital and Joey's walking around and he runs into a young Leah Remini who's having a baby.
Yes.
Do you remember that episode?
I don't.
It's been a while, but yes.
He runs into Leah Remini and they like hit it off right away. And he ends up being there for like most of the birth of her child. And when he shows up afterwards with like, he's got like flowers and a balloon, he sees that the actual father's in there. And she's yelling at him because she's like, I don't know where you were the whole time. Somebody else was here with me. And he just leaves the balloon there, I think. Or he takes it with him, but he leaves. And I don't know why. I think it's just because I like Leah Remini that always stuck in my head. But I wanted them to end up together.
Yeah.
To just run into each other again.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, you basically birthed my child. And have them end up together. I wanted Joey to have somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's what he deserves.
That's fair. But then again, they can't all be coupled up. Like,
It's a cop out. No, it's a cop out.
yeah,
It's a couple.
that would be too much.
Like, especially if it's within the group.
Within the group.
But then, yeah, he had like a lot of chances, and that would have been crazy to have like that return.
I just love Leah Remini. I think that's where it's coming
Was
from.
she still in the whole Scientology problem?
She's doing the show though.
Oh no! I mean, like back.
Oh yeah,
around the time she was still
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, they
Not
have a
that
lot of
Leah Remini.
limits. They have a lot of limits, so that's probably maybe a reason that they thought like, oh, we can. I don't doubt that they were in the writers' room, like, okay, what are the love interests? Like, who can we bring back? Who would be willing to come back? Who would be a part of, like, what would work? And I don't doubt that she was in there, but Scientology is a whole other story.
They're right on Guad. You might not want to say that too loud.
If y'all don't see me after this, you don't know why. But yeah, that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. Okay, what would you have done with Rachel and Ross though?
Okay. First of all, I want to say that I think David Schwimmer deserves an Emmy because he played an amazing Ross. Because I love David Schwimmer, but I
Yeah.
hate Ross. So,
Agreed.
like, to be able to pull off a character that's that annoying, so good. Talent
Agreed.
beyond recognition. He's so good, so
We
good.
love his range.
You love his range, and he does it so well, and he's very aware of it too, which I think is like what I love about it.
Even the way he walks,
The way-
Yes.
with a stupid giggle.
This is an anti-Ross podcast.
I'm sorry, Ross.
whoever
don't
whoever
apologize.
loves Ross, I truly apologize.
I'd love to. If anybody's a fan of Ross, please tell us. Please let us know if and why. Please explain yourself. I want like a short paragraph on why you like Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think I would have. I agree with Dylan. Just have her leave, and have
Yeah.
her move to Paris and say, "I want to keep Emma over there. Or we can figure it out. We're not gonna fly her back and forth. What's the flight from like Paris to New York? Is like ridiculous. Probably
Probably a few. It's probably more than 12 hours.
ridiculous.
Well, not. Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway.
yeah, I would have loved for Emma to like stay in Paris with her mom, and I feel like she would want to stay in Paris with her mom as she got older, because I think she would have graduated high school last year,
Yeah.
IRL. So I feel like she would have wanted to stay with her mom in Paris, because that's cool.
That's cool. And then it's a completely different lifestyle.
Mhm.
It shows her like you don't need you can you can have
Yeah.
resilience
'Cause, like,
without anybody else.
How cool would it be to show your daughter, like, look, I started with nothing, and now I'm working for Louis Vuitton in Paris.
Yeah.
And like, she's probably making bank, right?
I would hope so.
would
I
hope
mean,
so.
it's a fashion capital.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could imagine in real life she would have grown in that company
Mhm.
like exponentially,
Mhm.
you know, and have a if they can fly her out to go work for them, she's making good money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't just get an opportunity like that and not get like compensated to at least find a place to live
Yeah.
and function, you know?
Also, Ross had Ben, so he wouldn't be entirely lonely.
Well-
Whereas Rachel, Rachel had, Rachel needed,
Did Ross have Ben?
I mean, like,
He was never with him.
that's true, but with Emma leaving, now he had the chance to be with Ben or spend more time with Ben.
Spend
I'm
time
just
with his
saying
son.
yeah, exactly. At least he had one kid with him, is what I'm saying.
I think what I would have done was have Ross just end up alone. Not just because I dislike Ross,
Yeah.
but I feel like it would be a good message to tell people, if you refuse to change and you refuse to grow as a person, everybody else is going to move on without you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened to Ross. He didn't change throughout the series. He
At all.
remained like a mama's boy, a man-child, immature, a little bit homophobic.
Yeah.
That I disagree with, but okay.
Okay,
moving on.
well, we can yell at each other afterwards.
Yeah, that's for another episode.
Dislike for Dylan. I just I would have wanted him to end up alone, because like Ben never spent time with him. He was with Susan and what was her name?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm blanking out on that. Sorry.
What's that episode where she's Rachel is like, oh, I'm spending time with my friend Susan, and Ross is like, what's her last name? And she's like, lesbian. Good joke. Anyways, yeah, I would have wanted Ross to end up just alone. Like, I would have liked that idea of her, or like him getting to his apartment, answering, or like hearing the message on the phone, and the idea of Rachel debating whether or not to go with him, and then deciding not to go. And it just cuts off.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in his apartment completely by himself because he refused to change.
I think that's also. I completely agree. Like, I feel like that would have been a great ending. I think.
Do you have sympathy for Ross, Dylan?
I do, because it's a bit harsh, okay? It's, yes, he has to change, but, like, some people just are incapable of change, and that doesn't mean that he's ever sad or harsh ending. If he were, like, Joey in the sense that he's very, likable and independent, like, or happily single, then that would be different. But Ross needs a relationship, so not giving him one would be very harsh on people, especially for his fans or whoever else that liked him. You know.
But how much do you grow as a person if you can't be by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I think like that's how I think of it, and maybe that's just like this my generational brain talking because I could understand why they were like we need to close it off with them being together
Mm-hmm.
because of the ideals or whatever, or just like you want a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
You like shows now, especially like media has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Shows aren't afraid to punch you in the face and be like, you need to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to understand that not everything is gonna be happy. Not everything's gonna work out. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're your own person. You have to understand that things have consequences. Things have resolutions. They don't have resolutions all the time. And Ross doesn't end up with Rachel in our current moment in time because for us now, that would be like, this is shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like this sucks. Like she gave up that big opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to be with him and he couldn't even consider like moving, you know, like.
I think that's what's so fascinating is that like everybody who watches the show around our age has the exact same reaction of why are you guys happy that they ended up together? That's horrible. Because like the first thing we notice is she gave up a job opportunity to be with a guy who was like at times emotionally abusive to her
Yes.
and also cheated on her.
They were on a break. They were on a break. They really were. Like,
okay,
for real,
true.
for real.
We're moving on. This is too big of a conversation.
You know what?
Yeah.
I feel like one really off ending that we haven't deliberated was Janice.
Oh,
Janice,
that's
the
funny.
obnoxious laughter. Maybe
I
you
love
you could pair them together, Ross and Janice.
Didn't
That'd be
they
nice.
sleep together?
They did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
when
was
he-
the break thing.
yeah.
Oh, that would be hilarious if they actually ended up together.
Janice would
Imagine
never.
that.
Janice would never. I
It's-
think Janice actually got married.
Didn't she break up with him because he was too whiny?
Wasn't that Chandler? No.
I don't remember.
I think it was Ross. Because he was like, it was after his, I think it was after his third divorce. He was whiny. He was complaining too much. I think that was Ross. If I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah.
But I think that was Ross. That she was like, you're too whiny, and she broke up with him.
Wow.
And then told Joey one left to go, and then walked out of the apartment.
I love that. I don't remember that, but I love it. Dang, Ross.
Ross slander.
I think we're all in rough agreement. We like Phoebe. We like Monica and Chandler.
Yes.
We want Joey to have more resolution.
Yes.
I
Something.
don't, but yeah, something.
It could go either way.
Yes,
but, you know,
Joey's,
that
very
depends on how you
flexible,
feel and everything. So
Also in agreement. No Ross, no Rachel.
Agreed.
yeah,
We want her to go to Paris. We want her to pursue that
Definitely.
opportunity
With Emma.
with
yes.
with
Emma.
Emma and feel happy.
Mhm.
And Cole Sprouse can grow up with.
Was it Cole or Dylan? Was it
It
Cole?
was Cole.
Okay.
I think it was Cole.
It was both of them at the same time.
It was Cole.
Amazing.
Where's Dylan these days?
One of them is on Riverdale.
Cole.
Cole is on. I like how you know that it's Cole on Riverdale.
Because
Oh,
like I
I
haven't seen Dylan in
forgot.
forever. That's why I know. I wonder what he looks like these days. You know.
They all look. I don't know.
I'm gonna
well,
look it up right now with the computer.
I know. One of them is dating this model.
Is that Dylan?
I think Dylan. Yeah.
It's because I think Cole
We're talking
was-
about the Sprouts brothers, right?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Sprouts. Yeah.
I remember Cole from like Black Lives Matter, how he got arrested or something like that. So he really came to.
Oh no, is Dylan on Riverdale? No, Dylan's not on
No,
Riverdale.
he's not.
Cole.
No, because Cole was dating Lily Reinhart.
Yes, Cole is on Riverdale. If he still is, I don't know.
I think he is. I think the show's still
I've
going.
never watched the show,
Same
and
here.
I don't plan
hear
on
it.
to.
Yeah, I hear it's not the
Why
best.
not?
Do you watch it?
No.
Oh,
I do
then
not.
why? Why?
I mean,
Dylan was
Cole-
always my favorite.
He was. Cole was the whiny one.
Life on deck.
Oh, this is him post breakup.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Wait, who is that?
Is he okay?
Is that Cole
Slander.
Sprouse?
Yes. Look.
What? Why does he look 35?
Oh my god.
He's probably 35.
Wow.
That's a
Ugh.
premiere.
She's such a beautiful woman. I'm sorry.
Yes, snaps for Lily
Wait,
Reinhart.
are you sure that's Cole?
Yes.
Yes, that is Cole
That is
Sprouse.
Cole let himself go a little bit.
Google Cole Sprouse and just look at the pictures. You'll know which one
Wait.
we're talking about.
Isn't that Cole Sprouse though in that like picture below? The picture below.
This one.
This
Yeah.
was
So
2
it's the
years
same-
ago.
Yeah, this is.
Oh.
Yeah, this is when he was dating her still.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess the breakup got to him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
What does Dylan look like though?
I feel like Dylan be looking good. Hold on.
Just look at Dylan.
I'm biased.
We were
I'm
looking at,
biased.
like, this is Dylan.
I am biased.
Dylan's good. Dylan's still looking good.
Let me
they're
see
still
Dylan
so
Sprouts.
Identical.
Look at
Here. Dylan's the one dating
Bob's.
Barbara Palvin.
Good for him.
They've been dating for a good
Mhm.
minute.
Are you gonna do this for an hour? Are you gonna like?
Why'd you
how-
say
it like that?
No, how long is it gonna be?
Why'd you
I'm
say
wondering.
it like that?
I'm just wondering if you have to listen to everything again.
He looks good. He's
He really
happy.
does,
He
yeah.
looks good.
It does.
They've been together, I feel like 3-4 years.
Can I tell you a secret? Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Never watched any of the Zack and Cody series.
Why?
Why?
Just didn't.
I love Brenda's song.
Miranda. I
Don't tell
love her.
anyone.
Wait.
I said
Her name was London, right?
Yes.
In there. London.
Yes.
I love London.
Life on Deck.
One
Like
of them. And Mr. Mosby.
you,
Oh my
yeah,
days.
you never watch any of it.
No, whenever anybody talks about it, I'm just like, ah ha ha, and then I just don't say anything.
Wow. Okay, so our next episode is gonna be Nicole watching the whole series
Did
and
you
then
watch-
giving us our opinion on it.
Mhm.
Any Disney like show growing up?
It's because the Disney shows for me were on. They were on like sometime we were in the morning, right? Like they were showing on cable in the morning, and that was when my mom and I would go grocery shopping on the weekends. So I never
Oh.
saw it. I would just
Any
get
of them?
not really. Like I would get back and like That's So Raven would be on, so I'd catch a little bit of it.
Oh, like Wizards of Waverly Place. No.
Never watch Wizards.
That was Selena Gomez's peak.
Yeah, people
bro.
laughed. People laughed her character. Like
She was such a good. No, she's such a good
she
character.
defined a whole generation of people, and like
Yeah.
her, I guess her personality was very like I don't know, relatable, and people
Yeah.
started to like behave like it almost. And like I actually saw a trend on Twitter recently, and people were actually talking about some of the things they learned from the show, or some of the things that what was the character's name again?
Alex.
Alex did that they mimicked in real life. Like how she said she doesn't run. Someone was like, oh, I don't run too, but I never realized it was because of her that I don't run. I was like, wow, this is impressive.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. That's crazy.
So you never even watched like Hannah Montana?
Oh
That is
my
something.
God! I'm so sorry, Nicole.
I wish
feel
I
like
could. I wish I could see the faces that they're making at me right now.
Hannah Montana.
Oh my days.
That's like the show that made Disney as big as it did.
I agreed.
I'm sure it did.
Agreed.
Oh my
Agreed.
goodness!
It was so big. It was so big. I
Mhm.
grew up in Ghana. It was like probably one of the it was probably one of the most popular shows in Ghana. So that should tell you how big it was. Wow, who is that?
That's Dylan.
That's
We're
We're
Dylan.
still looking
Yeah.
at Dylan Sprouse pictures.
He doesn't look. No, let me show you this picture of him though. From September with him and his boo. He looks
His
good.
His new girlfriend?
No, he's been with Barbara.
Oh,
for
it's Barbara.
years.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, aside from Dylan and Cole Sprouse, and I call them Sprouts. Aside from them and Disney and all the other shows that we could easily talk about,
Mhm.
do we want to make any last statements about all of this?
All the homies hate Ross.
All the homies hate Ross.
Yes. I don't hate him. Hate is a strong word, but it's
Explain with one word your feelings towards Ross.
dislike.
It's gentle.
It is.
It's gentle.
Because hate is strong. Hate
Irritating.
Yes.
Hate is little finger. Okay, hate is little finger.
You
but-
hate Littlefinger?
Oh my God, little finger is so annoying. But I dislike Ross. So that's the difference for you.
That's
know
a
what I
man
mean?
who needs therapy.
Who else?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
That whole episode with Sandy with the Freddie Prinze Jr., where he's the nanny,
No.
and he's like, he's not, effeminate isn't the right word, but he's just like very secure in his masculinity. So when he comes in to babysit Emma, he's like doing the voices, or he like cooks, and you know what I'm talking about?
I remember now.
And
Yes.
it makes Ross really uncomfortable because he's like, it's weird the way he's acting with Emma. And Rachel's like, Emma loves him. She's doing really good. I don't understand why you're upset. Like, is it
Yeah.
just because he's comfortable with who he is. And so he ends up talking to him, and he tells him, like, it's just because my dad never let me be like that.
I remember that.
So I get uncomfortable when I see people doing that. And so Sandy talked to him about it, and then he
started
fired
crying.
him.
No, wait, Sandy left. I think
Didn't he fire him?
No, he fired him before he actually opened up. Sandy was like, I understand. You want to talk about it? And then he opened up to Sandy and was actually crying on Sandy's shoulder. And I thought that was hilarious. But
and then he goes and hires some woman who's just very attractive to babysit Emma.
Okay, I do remember this.
Not qualified at all. Sandy was like incredibly qualified to be taking care of a child. And that woman wasn't qualified at all. She was just pretty. And Rachel is like reasonably upset.
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick. Do we have a favorite Friends episode?
Oh, yes. Easy.
Dylan.
The one where Joey... Oh, it's two. It's all Joey. First one, I'm not sure if I don't think it's the same episode, but the first one was where Joey was expecting to win an award, so he had this whole speech practiced. He didn't win it, and he went up on stage to receive the award. No, actually, he was presenting the award or something like that. And he accepted the prize on the person's behalf, and he still found a way to give his speech. I thought that was hilarious. A second favorite episode is the one where he goes on a date, and I guess the girl was eating off his plate.
Oh, yeah.
He hated it so much, and then I think later he ate from her plate. He said, I'm not even sorry. It's
yeah, he ate her cake.
Yeah, he did. It's like, I'm not even sorry.
He's got the chocolate on his face.
Oh, my God. I love Joey.
Yes,
My two favorite episodes. Those episodes like make me laugh nonstop.
Right.
I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, honestly. It's been a minute since I watched the show. So.
Not like me that watches it most every day.
What about you? What's your favorite episode?
I think my favorite episode, just because like I love the cast so much, I think that everybody, like especially in the later seasons, like you perfect your character.
Yeah.
And you perfect their mannerisms and the way that they act and talk and like the little nuances that they have.
Yeah.
The one where no one's ready, the episode, it's like a bottle episode. It has nothing to do with the rest of the season. You can take it out and it would be good.
Whatever.
But it's where Ross has a thing, like a whatever. It doesn't matter. And he's like, okay, we have to be ready at like 8:30. And Phoebe comes in and she's ready, but she spills something on her shirt. So she has to try to cover it up. Monica makes an embarrassing message and sends it to Richard. And she's trying to figure out how to cover that up. Rachel can't decide what to wear. And Joey and Chandler are fighting over the seat.
Oh, okay, yes,
yeah.
I
And that's
remember
when
this one.
that's when Joey puts on all of Chandler's clothes and he's like, look at me, I'm Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
I remember that.
That one's my favorite because like they function, like the ensemble is just so good in that episode.
Yeah.
Like everybody really is like, it's one of those episodes where you just like pitch it and you can see exactly how it would turn out. You're just like, yeah, all they need to do is get there on time. They can't. And I love it. That's my favorite episode.
Bottle episodes are just the best. Like they show you how good the characters and the actors that you have like are for that specific show. So
I feel like Friends is a good example of shows that have good bottle episodes and shows that have bad bottle episodes. Because some of there's an episode, I think it's in the later seasons, where it's like, it's literally just flashbacks to the earlier seasons.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
hate those
Yes,
episodes.
yes.
I was just
That
going
one
to say
is
that.
horrible.
I agree. They were just being
I
lazy at that point. They
forgot.
were being really lazy at that point.
They didn't shoot for 3 days, and that was all they could come up with. I know that's how it went.
It's like, because I binged the whole series like 2 years ago. And so like I was like, I just watched this like 2 weeks ago. Why are you like telling me how it happened again? Like I get if you watched it like 9 years ago, but like I just saw this. I don't understand. That one's bad. And then you have like the one where no one's ready, or you have the one where like they think about how their lives would have been different if Rachel married Barry. What was it? Phoebe took the job as a stockbroker.
Yeah.
And Ross stayed with Carol. That's her name. Her name is Carol. Carol and Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That one's good. I like it. I think it's good.
I think this probably fits into the thing you mentioned earlier about people watching like while it was being filmed. I feel like for people like that, they probably would appreciate the throwback or flashback or whatever. because then it's been like what 8 or 7 years since they last saw it. But for us, it feels very lazy. It feels like we already saw this. So that's like probably for those people that were probably
It's because we
That's
can
wrap with
binge
that.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, true.
I think that has a major impact on the way that we like view the show.
Agreed.
Because like we're not watching it for 9 seasons and then watching, or 9 years and then watching Joey and Rachel get together. We're
Yeah.
watching it in a few weeks, and they get together, and you're like, oh yeah, this is the natural progression of the show.
Yeah.
It's just odd to me.
It really is.
So we all agree that those are like our least favorite episodes.
What?
The
Like
bad
the
bottle.
flash-
Oh,
Yeah,
the bad bottle episodes.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Least favorite, the bad bottle episodes.
Got you.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with the good bottle episode when they're taking forever to get ready and they can't get ready. Yeah, I remember that one very clearly now.
Very good episode.
Yeah,
I think that this went for a lot longer than I thought it would, which is good.
we had a good
We had a good
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
We had only one tangent, which was way less, way less than I thought we would. We saw some pictures, and that's all I'll say about that. Before we go, where can we find y'all if you want to see more? You have Instagram, YouTube, whatever.
My Instagram is at Marie V, like little V, Rangel, Rangel. I do photography, and I'm a film student, so hit me up for either thing.
You can't find me on social media, but you will see me in the CMA building most days. You know, I'm a black guy with blonde hair, so
Yeah, you'll see him.
Yes, you will see me.
See him. I'll link all y'all's socials or whatever. Not Dylan's, but I'll link
At CMA.
Yeah, at CMA location in the description if y'all want to follow him. Highly encourage comments down below. Do you agree with anything that we've said? What do you like and dislike about what we said? Do you agree with any of the points that we made? Do you like Ross? I'd love to know.
Why?
And if you want to fight us about it,
Oh, yeah.
come through.
Yeah.
Let us know.
We'll answer.
We'll
I will
answer.
respond to all the comments. Whatever you think, just leave it down below. Even if you just want to like lay some slander, that's fine on Ross. I won't accept any other slander. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.